Hello and welcome as we are entering into the 8th day of October 2021. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. All bets trades amongst the like each his own risk and their own reward. These Fibonacci lines I put in a long time ago. The one above here stating practically all fives, but 55,543 routed to the nearest dollar. Below that, 50,303. This was done, I used on a calculated on a spreadsheet as I calculated a whole bunch of them. I was doing so as it was falling. On the 33,000, basically all three levels, I guess we can say here, it was a very interesting time because from the middle of May until like the middle of July, there was about 585 days in which 33,000 was tested. And I was thinking about that earlier today, just going over some just previous stuff and analysis. And I probably spent a good 90 to 200 hours today just researching this. So I think I'm going to be going pretty good. And of course, that's all a joke. I've researched absolutely nothing. I'm just trying to make stupid jokes. But I really say those many days because I've never seen anything like this before. How often that 33,000 was supported, grinded within this area for quite some time, showing like it was going to break down from it in the middle of July. Oftentimes from failed move and one play will agree with a fast move. I've been noticing that with a setup. When it looks like a setup's going to do something like go down or go up and it doesn't, oh boy, the opposite. Here's the opposite from what it truly looked like it there. You support it like realistically like on 7, 8 days, 9 days in here, and then you grind within it and for high volatility for about 5, and then you support it amongst a span of about 12 or 10 or something. And then as it's breaking down, going through the pierce support levels, yikes, no, none of that. And then it comes up piercing, doesn't do it too less often. It's always pierce extra, not here. Pierce less when it came up to it at the end of July. It comes back to the 18 Av. And then it breaks it on its first attempt after retracement. So within correctionary mode, from key high to key low, it did phenomenal, and then it retraced it, and now it's correctionary mode. It's still in it. It's from this key high to this key low, but making new highs on like a shorter term. So higher highs, higher lows, and this high came in at 50,562, a differential of $259. And just like the Price is Right. No, you're not supposed to go over the Price is Right. So I guess the price lower being like just barely from that number, sort of like the amazing bid, if you will. But it hits that level, corrects it. And here's an interesting failed breakout. Because it really did look to me on September 5th and 6th as if this thing was going to go off, and it didn't. After resisting this level, having a good correctionary mode, showing some strength amongst the 18 highs prior to it. And then it had a little bit of a fast move going lower. But it has recovered from it. So now retracement from key high to key low, it's already gotten above that previous level. So now it has now seen highs not seen since where it was started to decline back in the end of the second week of May. 5-month highs on the hourly term time frame. At 9 o'clock yesterday, well today actually, when I'm doing this, but 9 o'clock in the morning on October the 6th Eastern Time, the price hit a high of 55,500. $43.04 short of that number. Less than 0.1%. Then it pulls back, and if you look at it in the shorter term time frame, now this I haven't even seen what it looks on the 5, so I'm seeing this for the first time. But within that time frame, nice little get up and go, if you will, at 8:10 in the morning, and then the big play happened right at 9:10. And then it has its pullback relatively instantly. And then, of course, it's one push and then a little small second one, and that's all it needed. Let's go back to the hourly again. I'm just going to push the fast forward button. It might go a little fast. Not as fast as I thought, but yeah, so it comes up to it, pulls back, then they'll just how it I like this uptrend that it continued to do it and over so many periods, and now it does it again, piercing it a little bit better this time, making a high of 55,800. And since this point, it has been meh for the most part. Long term, I know that the lines make it a little difficult to read, but I don't know if it means much. And take it for what it's worth. This is month number 5, which it's grinding amongst the 18 average of highs. Within the first two periods, or the two first months of it, which is June and July, it spent practically the entirety of its time in between the 18 average of closes not shown and the 18 average of highs, with small pierces below pretty much each one. Over the last 3 months, it has spent the majority of its time above the 18 average of highs, with a little bit of time below it. Currently, the 18 average of highs comes in at 45,362. The low is 43,291. Not much of a difference at all, about 1,500 or about 3%. And because it's been in an uptrend, and it's been doing this for 5 months, and for the last 3, it is showing, staying within the highs as mentioned. This is where I use the term showing strength amongst the 18 average of highs. A pre-indicator oftentimes to fantastic moves. I remember saying it before. I can't remember where I said it. I take it for what it's worth among the showing strength at the 18 highs. I know it's not Bitcoin now. And then it just had its big move. And I just want to show that comparison, but I can't remember what the market is. That's me getting older, though. And just because I feel like showing something else in crypto that's not Bitcoin, let's do Tezos. And then flip it over to precious metals of gold and silver. Why these lines do what they do? They do. This happens to be as it is. From this high to this low is the key Fibonacci. So retracement within those levels. So from this point on, we had a situation where you resisted this level at 11,860, a differential of 60 more on a 5-figure number. Then going through this fib line very convincingly after that. And then breaking out above it just as convincingly. It retests that resistance line for a span of 2 different weeks. The week period stamped April 5th and April 12th. Noticeably piercing extra. This time, however, it came back, finding support amongst fib, piercing extra. And then it did it again, and you can call this piercing extra, but you can also call it a 50% retracement. I'm not going to call it a Fibonacci retracement because I don't know how you can state Fibonacci in 50% terms. Like in betweening these two numbers halfway through, in betweening two whatever, but a 50% retracement was in the area of this May 3rd high at 14,930. It congested amongst the Fibonacci for one period afterwards, and then it had a nice fall supporting at this level, piercing extra. And then here we see it on the June 14th stamp, going to low volatility and resisting this level for a little bit, really showing again that's going to break down. And here you're looking at this on July 26th, August 2nd. Maybe I should sell Tezos for Bitcoin, try to buy it back cheaper. Maybe this thing is going to 5,000 or 6,000 Satoshi. No. And then failed setup. Whenever things look like it's going to go down and it doesn't, it can be nasty in the opposite direction. And, well, this is about as weak as it can be to be considered a huge move. And it's not over yet, so it can still be a monster move. It resists fib on August the 23rd, and then it supports it here. Let me just now move this to the daily chart. So here you see it hitting it, and now it convincingly gets above it on August the 24th. So you see something like that. A convincing break above like this. Obviously, with an intraday, it never got anywhere near close to hitting that on a short-term point of view. And it pulled back on that day to here and then pulled back in here. So it's a lot of this should be telling you there's a decent chance that this, like on this red day, August 26th, that it was a down day not to believe, I guess, or however way you want to verb it or state it, because of what would happen following. It's going to come and pierce extra on this line. It should get to 12,000, probably a bit more. It got up to 12,670. And then on September the 7th, it comes down to a low of 8,710, a differential of 186 basis points, 2 point something percent. On this time frame, no Fibonacci resistance was seen at the 11.8 handle. And just like I stated on this day in the pullback, you start to see this pullback. This one lasted a lot longer, of course, a span of a good week and a bit more maybe. Coming back to fib, piercing extra, of course. And then on the session date of October 4th, it hits a high of 19,128 Satoshi. A noticeable pierce extra. 3 convincing days down. Today's session was just a mad do nothing pretty much. And now it's still within the 18 average. If you start to see momentum getting above this at 16.7, while this general area here at around 13 especially holds, well, on the longer term time frame, the next level is 24,750. Now let's cross it up to its price against the US dollar. Currently in that of about the slot machine number, for the most part, all sevens. The slot machine number, 777, but $7.72 as at 9:12 p.m. Eastern Time, the 7th of October. December 2017, it gets up to a high of $12.15. That is its all-time highs. The lows breaking out February of 2019 has seen a continuous pattern of higher highs and higher lows, the definition of trend. So from the last low that we hit back from May to that of July, in the area of about 2 3/3, 2 2/5. Beautiful, almost 70% up month in August. We followed the previous one with a 17% gain, and early on it's already over 25 in the current session, pretty much at the most recent intra-move highs. In fact, this high was 841, and we've already gotten above it within this current period of 915. But it's still below this high as it goes. I've already calculated some Fibonacci numbers from this high to this low, and it's going to be in pennies. So $12.15 and 31.7 cents. Key levels, $1.28, basically $3 and 5 and change. So $1.25, 3, and noticeably over 5. So $1.25 in here, congested at this point. The 3, you can resisted it back in February, but we can see this is an area where it supported it. And then the 7 area, we've already been resisting that. And previous high is the next one. Noticeably has not been there. The blind, not blind, I can't use that term because that's just not right, but extremely poor eye vision can tell that this line here is higher than these lines. That's the best way of putting it. Meaning a long ways to go. And as I was stating recently about, maybe that's a tell that the move isn't over. I'm saying the same thing here. Because getting above the 61.8% level, at the 3 level that it did, which is stated back in February of the previous year, of this year. So February of this year was stating, yep, okay, it's a failed breakdown because as long as it can hold 61.8% from key high to key low, the move, then it's a real move. So as long as it can stay and hold and stay below the $3 level, and it did up until February, then it's all good to go. So because of that, and it's had this rally from this point, I'd be surprised if it did resist this and that's it, and it doesn't go much further. But I think it's going to 12, and then most likely thereafter that, who knows? Will we find resistance there when we get there? Maybe, maybe not. When you when you don't get resistance and support where you're supposed to expect the move to be continuously phenomenal and that keeping on within its direction, up or down, in this case up. Realistically, it wouldn't be a surprise if it pierced above this number, reached 14, 15 or something like that, and then comes back down to somewhere in the 6, 7 area again to find another 18 average test and a higher low, stuff like that. Let's move on to metals now. Let's do gold first. And I'm going to start with the long term, monthly, with a whole bunch of periods and this whole big line here and the uptrend and all that. Gold currently in at 17.57 US. Out of curiosity, how much do you think it cost to buy a baseball ticket back in this time frame? Maybe go to Yankee Stadium or whatever it was called back then. Yeah, it was called Yankee Stadium back then. It was a little over $1, $1.10. A little over 30 tickets, an ounce of gold would buy you back then. Oh, and it was pretty much illegal, as sad as that is to say. Today, if we divide this number by a little over 30, if I divide it by 10, it's like 175. So I have to divide it by more than 3, $60. $60 a ticket for baseball? Well, maybe. I'm not sure. But could you imagine in here where it'd be like $30 a ticket? And it wasn't. Not in 1980. Although it's still... It's just, you're not seeing it here, but when you can price assets into other assets, gold into something that also stands the test of time within gold, it's pretty interesting. And as that goes, gold is something that is an obvious metal. It's something you just can't print. Oh, I mean, they try to in different things, I guess, in whatever type of paper market, as they call it. I call it the digital market, if you will. Derivatives is another way of putting it. But as far as holding the physical real deal, that's what I do. I got physical gold, physical silver. And we've seen in here this thing have a nice rally back to August of the previous year to over $2,000. Currently at 17.57. It went to the correctionary phase back in November. It has spent an enormous, microscopic amount of time outside of these lines. I'm trying to draw over this here so that when I shorten the time frame out, close enough, to show you how much of the action has stayed within the 18 average throughout this period. Yeah, barely piercing below it down here, barely piercing above it here, barely piercing above it here, barely going, but it's still correcting within its move. It's been, okay, wake me up when it's ready kind of deal. It's been taking so long. And then you can use the term, but when is something due to happen? And I think the best answer to that is just giving you another point to that. When something is due to happen, it can continue to be due for quite some time, which means we can remain in this correctionary phase for I don't know how much longer. But in the daily term, it's had this down move. Now it's correcting within the 18. 18's declining, at least it has been, but since it got up to there on this day, it's been now like 3 full days has passed. We're now in the 4th. It is held within it, hasn't even touched the 18 lows. It's pretty much resisted it. So this is now flat in this area more than anything. Still needs to get and hold and stay above this area for you to, or go majorly above it for you to start to think that this thing is ready to break out, which means Holding and staying above it means staying within a 1770 to about 1780 something range. And breaking well above it means, oh my goodness, what a fast movement. It's already near 1800. Something like that. But it's simply just not doing much other than correcting. And silver, monstrously in lower lows and lower highs. Leaving from this Fibonacci line and whatever. I mean, it's just luck that it comes up to it where the high here was, well, it's 28.74, 28.75 basically. And this is 28.58 that it just like barely pierced a little bit more towards it. I mean, it's just luck that it does it. With that being said, it didn't take long from the point in which it hit this resistance the first time until it came down here to this lowest level of the current support level we're in, which is around 21 and 2/3. It hit it again here and almost here. Then we resisted fib again, higher low. We resist fib again. We're not higher lowing, we're lower lowing now, and rematching thus far to this point. When you have a move like this, and especially when it doesn't rally on this move, like by last year's U.S. Thanksgiving, since then that was just confirmation. If you didn't have it already, maybe you could have had confirmation back near Thanksgiving or Halloween of last year that we're going to go to 20. Okay, we're going to 20. Nothing has happened yet to show a bullish sign to change otherwise. That is now the fact. It's had a little decent run, showing it's going to break out here, but it was unable to get above fib and stay above it. And now it's working its way back, and just one of those overdue things. I expect that it's going to do it. It's going to pierce below this and that, and I'm still buying right now. I bought today and I bought last week, but that we're going to hit this little level. Now I'm going to talk about what I found today, and I don't know if that deal's still available on silvergoldbull.ca. But I'm all about not paying premiums, at least not paying much of a premium. And one of my nuisances about fractional silver is how much of a premium extra you got to pay, which sucks. But I noticed that they had, in Canadian dollars, 1/2 ounce coins from the Perth Mint. And they normally sell for, if you buy at least 20, $19.50, which would equate to $39 per ounce. But they stated that it was $2 off. Okay, so that's $17. Or it's $17.50. Which would equate to like, it worked out to $17.75, I think. So it would equate to like $35.50, or 35 even. It might have been 35. I guess it's all depending on the price at that given time. But about 35, and the cheapest you could buy a 1 ounce round for, and at least 20 of them at that, was like $36.69 at the time. So here I'm getting it like for 3-4% cheaper than that, and I'm getting 1/2 ounce coins by the Perth Mint. I mean, I just got to do it. But even worked out with the same thing with the gold that they have there. And I'm just accumulating. This is my favorite type of gold to buy right now. From the Royal Canadian Mint, the RCM. And what it is you get 5 small 1/10 or 3.11 gram bars. They got a 25 Canadian dollar rate on it, as if that really means much other than for the legal tender aspect of it. And it works out that it's like just a small extra premium, like an extra 10% or so, like 12%, not much. So it's like, that's just too cool, because to be able to take like a 3-gram piece of gold, and it's small, and then put it in your fingers and be able to touch it like that, I don't know, it's just pretty cool. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.